Hello everybody, I am Simeon15 the Dragon Team here today, and today we're doing yet another deck profile and interview with Kevin Baxter, who used this exact list I'm showing you here to win Ohio States.
Yep.
So, you said you also played in week and you said you also played Yveltal Zoroark in weeks 1 and 3, correct?
Yep. Yeah, I went to all 4 weeks. Week 1, I went to Michigan, and week 2, I went to Tennessee. Week 3, I went to Indiana. I played Zoroark for 1, 3, and 4.
Nice.
In Tennessee, I played a different deck.
Alright, so first things first, what made you decide to play this deck and going into week 1?
Well, I wasn't exactly sure what the meta was going to look like, and I figured, the deck I played during Cities was still probably going to be pretty good, and it's the one I knew the best. So I just figured I'd give it a shot because it hasn't let me down yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And because you did do well at all 4 states, we're only briefly talking about the first 3. So, tell us how your day ended up finishing.
So week 1 in Michigan, I ended up 5-1-1, with my loss in Swiss being to Chris DeRocher and his Night March deck.
Oh, he's pretty good.
He's pretty good. He was kind of the bane of my state's run for a little while. But Michigan, I ended up losing in top 8 to Andrew Estrada in a YZG mirror. It was a really good match. He played it extremely well. He had a couple plays that I didn't expect, and one of the games I actually ended up decking out because he played AZ on Yveltal EX like 4 out of the last 5 turns, and I couldn't one-shot it. So it was a good series, and he ended up having an insane cities run or states run. I think he won like the next 2 tournaments he went to as well. So no shame in that.
Yeah, and he not to mention he's also a former world champion.
Yeah,
so,
that too.
Yeah,
he's all right.
Yeah, he's kind of good for a scrub. I'm just joking, of course. So you went top 8 in Michigan the first week. So going into week 2, what deck did you decide to play?
So going into week 2, I saw that Night March had done extremely well, and Yveltal kind of, in my opinion at least, has like a even, depending on the build, has an even to slightly unfavorable Night March matchup. Especially at the time when I still had Yveltal EX in the list. And so I wanted to basically have like a very good Night March matchup going into week 2. So me and Dustin Zimmerman and JW Krewall and Carl Shu built a Reshiram Giratina, a Speed Giratina.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, I think.
And so we all brought that down to Tennessee. And we did okay as a group. JW ended up first seed in top 8.
Nice.
He had an unfortunate loss in top 8 to Greninja.
Oh.
But and then me and Dustin got top 16 at Tennessee. So that was all right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, the deck did pretty well for us.
Yeah. It got you guys points, if nothing else. It got you guys points.
Yep, for sure. I think that pretty much locked up JW's World's invite too.
Yeah.
He just needs like League Challenge finishes or something to finish it off.
Yeah. So, even though you did moderately well in week 2, you still decided to change your deck going to week 3. Why was that?
Yeah, I thought going into week 3 that because Night March had seen so much success that there would be more counter decks to it in week 3. And less of the actual Night March being played, which ended up being true. There was a ton of, in week 3, there was a ton of like Trevenant, and at least in Indiana, there was a bunch of Bioplume Vespiquen.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, and I didn't really want to run into all of that with Giratina. Plus, it was kind of running a little inconsistent for us. I just wanted to go back to the basics, just go back to Zoroark, and it paid off. I ended up getting top 4 in Indiana week 3.
Nice.
And once again, my loss in Swiss and my loss in top 4 were to Chris DeRocher.
Oh, wow.
He had a pretty good run against me this state season. He was playing the Vileplume Vespiquen at that tournament, though.
Yeah. What did you play in top 8?
In top 8, I played against Andrew Ramey. He was playing Trevenant, so kind of a bad matchup for them. For him, I was playing Dark. So.
Yeah. In week 3, were you playing any Yveltal EX at that time?
Week 3, no, I had actually. So week 3 is when I had taken out the Yveltal EX and gone to the 4-4 Zoroark. It was previously 3-3, kind of like my cities list. But yeah, I made it more Zoroark heavy. That's when we added the break, which actually won me a match against Wailord. I was able to copy the Wailord's attack to 2-shot.
Oh wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then we had the 2 target whistles and all that. So that was kind of when the deck changed a little bit. And so funny story, I think Azul Griego won, I think it was Connecticut or something, states week 3. And like after seeing that list, like I was shocked because it was basically exactly what I was doing, except I still had a 1/1 Gallade.
Yeah.
And so I had people ask me, like right after those tournaments, did you and Azul talk about this list at all? No, we must have independently come up with the same kind of idea. So it was pretty cool to see that he came up with the same thing, basically.
Wow. Great minds think alike, as the saying goes.
I guess so.
So, up to that point, your deck you seem to be running really hot, to be perfectly honest. And we're going to week 4. You decided to play this deck again. I'm guessing more along the lines of if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Pretty much, yeah. The only change I made from week 3 to week 4 was in week 3 I had 1 parallel city in the deck, and I made that the 4th Sycamore. I would previously only had 3 Sycamore, but with all the item lock running around, I just wanted to be safer against those decks. So I went with the 4th Sycamore, and it definitely paid off because I opened Sycamore like way more often.
Yep. So this is the one you won. So let's talk about that a little bit more in depth. What did you play round 1?
All right. Switch rounds real quick. Round 1, I played against Vileplume Vespiquen. It had gotten pretty popular here in the Midwest.
Yeah, it has.
He's a local Ohio player named Steven. He played it pretty well, but
you there, Kevin? Coming on a little glitchy. Can't hear you. If you can hear me. Ah, we lost him. Come back to us, Kevin. Baby, come back. Kevin, you there? Darn. Kevin, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I think our internet lagged for a little bit.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, we're still going?
Yeah, we're still going. Yeah, we were talking about like your round 1 matchup in the week 4.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, week 4, round 1. Played against an Ohio player named Steven, playing Vileplume Vespiquen, which had gained some traction over the past couple of weeks in the Midwest. So I was kind of expecting to see a little bit of it, and that's what I faced round 1. So actually, he won the flip and went first, and got a turn 1 Vileplume. But I happen to have Sycamore in my hand, so I kind of just chained Sycamores turn after turn and got some Zoros and Zoroarks out, and was able to trade with the Vespiquen. Eventually, he ran out of Vespiquen, so I ended up taking game 1. And then game 2, he went first again and got Vileplume again, and I opened Sycamore again. So basically, adding the 4th Sycamore kind of won me this match, I think, because I was able to just Sycamore every turn. And even with the item lock, all I needed to hit was like Zoroark DCE, Drotagon DCE every turn. So
Yeah.
I actually ended up 2-0ing, going second both games against Vileplume. And then round 2, played against a player I hadn't met before. He was playing Night March. And it seemed to be basically like a straight Night March, like I had seen pretty much every week, with like target whistles and all that, and catchers. And I think
Yeah,
he had that.
The target whistle catcher variant. That's all I like to call it.
Yep. So he was playing that. It seemed, I think he was a little bit inexperienced in the matchup, at least. Not super surprising because I'm like the only one playing this crazy deck, but. I basically was able to keep my Shaman EXs off the board, and he at some point had to bench his, so I was able to knock out his Shamans when he couldn't knock out mine. That's basically how the matchup goes. Just because we're both non-EX decks, essentially. And so I actually was able to 2-0 that as well. Round 3 was a friend of mine, Philip Lee. He doesn't play too much, but when he does decently well. He was playing Night March as well, the straight version again.
Yeah.
So basically the same matchup back to back. This round, I think he was a little unfamiliar with how the breakthrough Yveltal worked with the Fright Knight ability. Because I was able to... He put his Fighting Fury Belts and Joltix, and I was able to Sky Return into Fright Knight multiple times. And just take knockouts without worrying about the Fighting Fury Belt. So I think I caught him a little off guard with some of those plays, and again, I think I killed one of his Shamans, and he wasn't able to kill mine, so yeah. I 2-0'd that again.
Yeah. The Fright Knight Yveltal is just so good.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, usually it's so good in the Night March matchup without even attacking, because just the ability is so good. So yeah, round 4. This round was actually streamed, and it's on YouTube, I think. It was Alex Hill with Vileplume Vespiquen.
Who was streaming it? Josh?
No, it was Kim Allen. Her channel's Kemony, Kemony.
Oh, Kamani, yeah. Kamani, yeah.
So that's up on her YouTube if you want to check out the match.
Yeah, I'll probably put the link in the description below.
Sounds good. Yeah, it was not the most exciting of matches, but it was kind of good. He actually game 1 opened up garbage, so I as soon as I attacked, I basically won. He was playing like a kind of a techie version with Regirock and Yveltal EX and a couple other things in addition to Vespiquen.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was a very interesting deck, but it made it a slightly more inconsistent, and it kind of showed in that first game. Second game, though, he had a little bit better of a setup, and he was taking knockouts, but this is when the Fright Knight Yveltal shined again, because I was able to Lysander his Vileplume with the Floatstone on it and promote my Fright Knight, and so he had to attach 2 DCEs to it to retreat. And so he did that, but then when he came up with a Vespiquen, he only did 110 damage to my Fright Knight. So I just Lysandered the Vileplume again.
That's evil.
And he actually had a DCE prized, so he was never able to retreat it the second time, and he decked out.
Well, technically you can't retreat like a Vileplume the second time, simply due to the fact like you only have 4 DCs in the deck, and if you do retreat twice, that means you're at a DCE.
Well, he was playing some basic energy. He had,
okay.
Yeah, he had like 2 fighting and 2 lightning for his tech attackers, but he had already attached 3 of them to his Vespiquens early on. And I think he also had a basic energy prized. Yeah, I think he had 2 energy prized. So yeah, after that, like, he basically was just going to deck out before he could win the game. So yeah, it was 4-0 at that point. Nice. Going into round 5, I played against Justin Titus.
Yeah, this was 7 rounds, correct?
Yeah, 7 rounds.
Okay, making sure.
Yep. So I played against Justin Titus playing Trevenant.
Basically, you're winning a match.
This is basically if you get to 5 wins, you're good to go at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was funny actually. A bit of a spoiler here. Justin is who I faced in the finals as well.
Ah.
But there was a league challenge actually on that Friday before the tournament, which had a decent, like it was a 6-round league challenge, so it had a bunch of players there.
Nice. Those are always
And
most fun.
I had played Justin at that league challenge, and I beat him in the league challenge. I play him Saturday, and I beat him again in Swiss. This was actually kind of a close match.
Okay.
He won the first game because he got a Trevenant, and I opened items, whatnot.
No.
Couldn't do anything, but games 2 and 3, basically I had Sycamores and Dark type attackers, yada yada.
Yeah.
So I ended up winning that match. It was just really funny. We were giving each other a bit of a hard time because we kept playing every day of the weekend.
Wow.
And it was just such a bad matchup for him that like there's nothing he could do. It wasn't his fault at all. It was just funny how the pairings worked out. But yeah, so after that it was 5-0. And I ID'd the next 2 rounds against Mike Moore, who was playing Totina. And then in the last round, I ID'd Andrew Mahone, who was playing Night March.
This was pretty good players. So, that's for some pretty good players. So, what did you play? Well, tell us about your top 8 run.
All right, so it was kind of funny because top 8, I had to play against Andrew Mahone again.
Wow.
I just ID'd with him in the last round. So, and that's actually who I was staying with for the tournament too. I was staying
wow.
So we had a fun match on the Friday night going into States, just to play the matchup a little bit. And I beat him in that, so I was kind of like teasing him beforehand, like, yeah, you saw what happened Friday night, it's gonna happen again.
I'm in the middle of an interview.
So yeah, me and Andrew had to play. Unfortunately, I wish we could have dodged each other in top 8, but yeah, it's a really close matchup. Basically, he's playing Night March with the Target Whistle and catchers, and I'm playing Zoroark. Basically, we're both non-EX decks. Whoever kills a shaman wins.
Basically.
So that's kind of how. I'm trying to remember these games exactly, but I'm pretty sure. Oh, game 1 was the game where he had a better start than me, and I had to confuse his Joltik with my Zorua. And he didn't really have a good way of like getting out of confusion and taking a knockout, so he went for the Night March attack on my Zorua with a confused Joltik without a Fury Belt, and he ended up flipping tails. So he knocked himself out without taking a knockout on me. This match I think is also streamed. So yeah, my round 4, my top 8, and the finals were streamed on Kemeny's channel. So yeah, that was like a crucial coin flip. He knocked himself out with confusion, and that was basically the game because I ended up drawing out of it.
Nice.
Game 2, he ended up winning. I don't really remember. I think it was a pretty quick game. Again, you can go watch the video. And then game 3, I was able to just keep my shamans off the board out of the discard. Ended up killing one of his. And I had it set up at the last turn where I put 30 or 40 on a Joltik, and on my bench I had the Fright Knight because he had a Fury Belt.
Yeah.
And as soon as he killed my Oblivion Wing Yveltal, I would just promote and take a knockout, and then I could kill Shaman on the last turn. So kind of a situation he couldn't get out of. I didn't ever have to put down my Shamans. So I ended up winning top 8 there.
Yeah.
And then so on to top 4. I played against Ohio player Owen Robinson. He was playing Vileplume Vespiquen also. And game 1, he basically got the lock, and I couldn't really keep up with the Vespiquens. I took a couple knockouts. but he was just too far ahead. So he actually won game 1. Game 2, I went first, and I was able to play like almost half my deck with my items and whatnot.
Yep.
So basically, just I set it up where I was going to have supporters every turn and attackers every turn.
Yeah.
Usually, I feel like if I go first against Vileplume, I have a pretty good shot of winning. Something would have to go pretty wrong. And then game 3, he went first, but he, in order for him to get the turn 1 Vileplume, he had to like Sycamore an extra DCE, and he had to do it without a floatstone. Yeah, he had a pretty rough draw of it. He got the Vileplume, but like not in the ideal way.
Wow.
And I believe I had open Sycamore, and just was able to get enough attackers going. I think I was able to Lysander Vileplume at one point and buy a couple turns, so I could draw an energy. So yeah, it kind of hurt him that he had to put it down without the floatstone on it. So yeah, just a little bit of rough draws on his end. I was able to take the game, even though he went first.
Wow.
And then, again, after that, as I said before, I was playing Justin in the finals against Trevenant. And this was actually kind of a close series because...
was this also streamed?
Yes, the finals was also streamed. So
I figured as much.
Watch this. It was pretty interesting. Game 1, I opened basically Shaman Pass into his Trevenant, and he put a Headringer on my Shaman, but I wasn't doing anything myself, so I just attached Dark Pass. It takes him a little while to kill Shamans anyway, because he's doing, 60? So I attached Dark Pass. He hits me, I think. And then I was able to top deck into a Pokemon, put it down, attach DC, Skyra, turn off the damage and the Headringer, and kind of get back in the game with a Shaman draw. Ended up getting a couple more Pokemon. So it was really scary because I opened Shaman, nothing else. But as soon as I got like the 2 energies and another Pokemon, I was able to Skyra trying to get back in the game.
Yep.
And then game 2 was a little bit more one-sided. I actually think I misplayed a little bit in game 2. I went a little aggressive with my DCs. Like at one point I retreated off a DCE when I didn't necessarily have to. But basically the power of Zoroark hitting for weakness on Trevenants was too much for Trevenant to handle. So
yeah.
Ended up winning the tournament. I was pretty excited. It was my first tournament win that was bigger than a city's. So I was pretty happy about that.
Really? I thought you already won like a states or regions by now.
Nope. It was kind of a running joke that I could never win a tournament because this was the 12th time I had made top 8 at a big tournament without winning. So it was good to finally get it done.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny too. In week 1, when you played Yveltal Zoroark, you got top 8. In week 3, you got top 4, and then you won it. And until week 4, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually ended up earning points every week, just the way my finishes ended up. Like top 8, 50 points, and then the top 16, I got 30 because I had an extra finish open. And then I overrided the 30 in week 3 with the top 4, and then I overrided another finish with the first. So I got points every week, so it was pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. And like, to be honest, like from what I've seen, like your states run is one of the more impressive runs I've seen, especially at least the ones I've interviewed. It's very impressive.
Yeah, there's a couple people that have done better. As I said before, Andrew Estrada, he won 2 and got top 4, and then Azul, he won 2 and got second at another. So
yeah,
they did a little bit better than me, but I'm happy with what I did.
Yeah, Kevin Singer got 2 second places in top 4.
Okay.
Yeah, which I think is like runs up front. Actually, I think yours is a little bit more impressive, but still. Anyway, let's go into some of your deck choices. First, the most interesting one to me is the Drudagon. Why did you decide to play that?
I've been playing Drudagon since Cities. And I'm kind of surprised more people haven't picked it up. Everybody that I've talked to about the deck has started including it. But I don't really see it everywhere, and it's kind of surprising to me. It's basically like a fifth Zoroark in this deck, or third or fourth, depending on how many you're playing. But for a DC, they take a knockout and you do 90. For the Muscle Band, you do 110. So basically, it's a guaranteed Shaman kill whenever you need it with a Muscle Band, just for a DC. So it's pretty much just padding the Zoroark count for just a basic. And it's been really good for me the whole time.
Yeah. Ever since Black Ballista, Black Huron was no longer a thing with Blastoise, Druddigon just kind of fell off the map because that's what Druddigon was basically there for the longest time. Just a Blastoise counter, really.
Yeah, and when the format became much more non-EX heavy with all these Night Marches and Vespiquens running around, plus Shamans in every deck, yeah, it just kind of made a comeback after being gone for a while. I think a lot of people forgot about it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to play Druddigon into my list more often, which is, I'm surprised that I have yet to do so myself, but since I do love dragons in general, but... Let's go. Let's see. Why did you decide to play two Target Whistle in this deck? Most don't even play the one in decks that don't really run Pokemon catchers.
Yeah, I actually, towards the end of Cities, I did start including one Target Whistle in my YZG. Just because with Gallade, if you ever get Gallade out, you kind of see the Target Whistle whenever you want to, as long as it's still in your deck and you didn't have to discard it. But
yeah,
I had one at the end of Cities, and it was so good for me. It basically, I think in the finals of one of my cities against Night March, it ended up winning me a game that I would have otherwise lost because I was able to pull out a Shaman. So ever since then, I've included it. With Shaman in this format, like pretty much every game comes down to, did you kill a Shaman? If you did, you win the game. So just having that is so huge. And when we went to a more Zoroark heavy build with the 4/4, the second Target Whistle was just so much better, just because, not even just for killing Shamans, but if they're trying to limit their bench to play around Zoroark's damage, you can get around that. Basically, it's laser bank for one card, add 30 damage to your Zoroark's attack for just a Target Whistle. It doesn't even really matter what you pull out. Like I pull out Pumpkaboos, Oddishes, just random stuff, as long as I can get my damage boost up with Zoroark. So it has really good synergy with the Zoroark line and just killing Shamans in general.
Yeah. Alright, let's go on to... actually, I forgot about this. How can you only play a one Gallade line, like a Gallade and a Max, only a Gallade and a Maxis?
Yeah, if you look at Azul's list, he actually doesn't play it at all, and I it, but I just couldn't do that because I love Gallade. I actually didn't really get it out too often. I think I got it out like 2 or 3 times during Ohio, but when you get it, it's just so good. The reason I cut down to 1/1 though is because of all the item lock. Because if you base your list around getting out Gallade, then you have to be much more item heavy, and can't really run the 4 Sycamores because it just messes that up. So I had to keep him in. He's just so good when you get him out. But with all the Vile Plumes and Trevenants running around, it just didn't seem worth it to go that heavy on the Gallade.
Yeah. If anything, the Gallade in here just seems more like a tech.
Yeah, it really is. It doesn't come out that often. It's biggest against, like Manectric decks, stuff like that, when you really need it. But yeah, it's not super essential, and honestly, you could cut it if you really wanted to. I still love the card so much, I have to include it.
Yeah. That's fair. Let's go on to some of the supporters now. First of all, Ace Trainer. That's a bit of an odd inclusion. Like, I've yet to see Ace Trainer too much, but then again, you are playing a largely non-EX deck, so it kind of makes sense in non-EX decks.
It's I think by far the most overperforming card in the list. I kind of just wanted more draw supporters after the 4th Sycamore, and it was kind of the only other option. Like, I didn't want a second Judge. Birch, I will never play that in the tournament.
I hate Birch.
Shauna's even worse than Birch.
Birch can go...
Yeah, so I just wanted to find something else, and Ace Trainer has definitely pulled its weight. It's been one of the best supporters against decks that don't expect it. All these Night March and Vileplume decks, they'd often take the first knockout, but if you can hit them with an Ace Trainer, you oftentimes will. If you don't stick them on a bad hand, you'll at least force them to put down a Shaman to draw out of it, which is as good as sticking them with a bad hand because I can just kill your Shaman.
Yeah.
So Ace Trainer's been very, very good for me, and I would definitely keep it going forward.
Yeah. Let's see, another out card, like second to last card that I want to talk about is Giovanni's Scheme. It's kind of like I don't know, like I haven't seen Giovanni's Scheme that much in decks in general. Why did you decide to play it?
Yeah, it's another kind of quirky card that I've been playing all along that not a lot of people play. But really, it's a card that you have to kind of plan your whole game around a lot of the time because you're not trying to draw with it. Sometimes I have to draw with it, but you don't want to do that.
No, you don't want to draw with it.
Yeah, it's for the 20 damage, and that 20 damage can come up in really crucial spots. Just kind of against random things, like I'll have games where I Oblivion Wing with a Muscle Band and a Giovanni to kill a Fury Belted Joltik. Or if I don't have a Muscle Band, I can kill a Fury Belted Pumpkaboo with the Oblivion Wing. Things like if people are limiting their bench and you want to attack with Zoroark, if they only have 2 bench, you're doing 70. With the Muscle Band, you're doing 90, and then Giovanni puts you up to 110. So it really depends on like certain situations coming up randomly throughout different games that you plan for. But you just got to keep that extra 20 in the back of your head, and it'll come up more often than you think.
So, and the last card I want to talk about is why do you only play one, not to mention Reverse Valley?
It's a card I would love to have a second copy of. It's just kind of an issue of space. But that extra 10 damage comes in clutch so often. It was actually, the one Reverse Valley was basically the reason that I got to top 8 in Michigan in my win and in match. It's so good in the mirror just because so many people are playing Reverse Valley in their Yveltal decks right now. If you get yours down first, A, you get the extra damage, and B, they can't play theirs to get extra damage on you. So it ends up being a very good card in the mirror. Against all these like Night March and Vileplume decks, it's not like crucial just because you're usually killing them anyway. But it's good to bump a stadium here and there, make them get an extra card. Make them find their Dimension Valley again, make them find their forest if they want to evolve. So it's something. I think if there was like less Night March, less Vileplume, and more kind of EX or Yveltal matchups in the field, I would want a second one. But it comes in handy in a lot of random situations, just kind of like Giovanni. With all these damage buffs, like Zoroark can take knockouts people really don't expect. Because you get a Zoroark, maybe a Target Whistle something to add 30, and then you get a Muscle Band at 20, Giovanni at 20, Reverse Valley you're killing things they did not expect you to kill. So it all kind of comes together at very crucial times.
So, and the last question I want to talk about in general is just how many championship points were you setting up before going into states in general, and how many championship points are you sitting at now?
Let's see. Before states started, I was at like 4. Let me remember this, because I had 412, and then I top 16 Florida.
Wow.
So like 457, I think, going into states. And then with the states finishes and that league challenge I won, I'm now up to 612.
Wow, so you're pretty much going for your top 16 US and Canada.
Yeah, that's been the goal for
a while now
for me. And I'm pretty sure I'm locked in, especially because I have Worlds points, 40 Worlds points. So technically, I'm like at 652. But yeah, that was the goal, and I think I've got there. So.
And I would actually be surprised if you're not currently top 16. At this point, you're just trying to stay there.
Right now, I think I'm second to Zool right now.
Oh.
In US and Canada.
So you're you did qualify for a long time at this point.
Yeah, as long as like a ton of people don't like win regionals and then top 8 nationals, I think it should be good. Only one person can win nationals.
Wow. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for sharing your list with us. And if you do manage to do well at Worlds, hey, please feel free to try to want to do another list with me.
No problem. Sounds good.
Yeah. And yeah, once again, thank you for doing this with me. And thank you for anyone who tuned in today. Please like, subscribe, silly stuff, and stay tuned for future content with more decklists and more interviews. And I shall see you guys next time.